Hello and welcome back everybody to a brand new video. So today we are back with a discussion video about DayZ. Just want to let you know I'm very thankful for all the support that I've been having over my recent videos. I've been trying my best to kind of like reply to every single one of the comments. I love reading the comments because some of the feedback is genuinely fantastic and really useful, and it made me realize how little knowledge I actually have on this game. But nonetheless, so what we're currently doing at the moment is we're actually making our way to 2 locations on the map. Now what this video is about is, well, how to basically get yourself a very decent chunk of loot. Where do you go? Where will you find said loot? What is the point of playing this game if you can't loot yourself up? If you can't defend yourself against wolves, bears, and players? Now, so we currently actually have a server restart in 5 minutes. So I'm going to use this time to explain a couple of things and actually show you. So where I am at the moment is I'm on my way to a place called Novi Sober. Now, if you are new to the game and you are unaware of what Novi Sober is a brother sister city to Starry Sober. Now they both contain areas where you can gather some fantastic loot. Now I'm quite central in the map at the moment. I'm on my way central in the map. Now for me to show you guys the best way possible and maybe talk a little bit in depth about where you should go off of spawn. Now I've already done 2 videos on what to do as a fresh spawn. Now there was information missing. I will hold my hand up, they were not researched videos. They were all videos that came from my experience as a player. Now, people in the comments have pointed out to me that my information is lacking. I appreciate those, thank you very much. But then people have always said they've really enjoyed the videos, so on the contrary. We're actually going to hop over now to here. Now, as you can see, that we are on a 10 DayZ loot location. Basically the best ones that you can find. Now, if you aren't quite familiar with my actual first 2 videos, I would definitely go ahead and watch them both now. I've been here before in the summer camps. You see them very early on in the spawn. Now, we actually have another tab that we can go to. Now, this is actually I Survive. This is the map. This is the entire DayZ map. Now, your typical spawns, from my experience, is all along the coast. Chernogorsk, Electro, Kamishovo, Solonici, Berezino, Svet. They are basically your very common spawns. Now, any one of these spawns, you can actually navigate to a better area of the map. So let's say them, right? We spawn down at Chernogorsk. Let's zoom in. So a little zoom. You can see all what Chernogorsk has to offer. You can see there's plenty of cars around. You can see there's an infirmary. You can see that there is quite decent level loot there. They are what you would basically need for your loot. So, typically, if you are on the map and you spawn in, let's say we spawn right there. Right? Just random. Now, you have multiple options on what you can do. Typically, for myself as a player, I like to run down the coast because I'm going to get to this location here, which is the Balota airfield. We'll zoom in on this a little bit more. So now, these are your military tent. Military tents. Military tent. I think that's more of like an armory, but looting military tents is your easiest way to get yourself armed with low-level, early-game loot. Like, you might be able to find yourself like a SG-5K, or you might find yourself a Mosin. You might find yourself maybe a part of an M4 handrail. Just something to do with a quite decent level weapon. So, now that we've mentioned our spawn, obviously not every spawn has the same kind of look in being able to have an airfield right next to it. Now, when, like I say, I spawn, if you haven't already watched my first 2 survival guides, please go and have a look. I will walk either, one, inland, get myself up to maybe Kometa, or if I'm walking and I spawn at Chernogorsk, I'll get myself up to Dubovo, Novoselki, like all of these different locations in the map, just to get myself something to survive, to keep me going, to make my way up to a Starry Sober, a Novi Sober, which are 2 fantastic locations on the map. Now, if we have a look right here, you can clearly see that there is a big, very large contamination symbol on that. That basically means these can drop at any point on the map, and they can, well, kill you. You can't survive them unless you've got an MBC outfit. So be careful, be cautious. If you hear the noise, if you hear bombs dropping, run. If you hear them, you're probably already dead. So I've not really gone into detail about these locations. So we have our summer camp. We have our military camps, which is what I was just talking about, Balota Airfield, for example. Now, your scrapyards. Typically, I've never really found much in a scrapyard. Found a couple of items, but not fantastic. Biathlon Arena. I've looted a couple of times, and it's been okay. It's not been terrible. Now, these are the ones that I would always keep an eye out. Now, if you see smoke in your game, in the distance, you will see the smoke until you get closer and closer north to the helicopter, where the smoke will then disappear, because you have technically seen it with your 2 eyes in-game, and it is close. You are in close proximity. So, derailed trains. I've never really actually gone for a derailed train, and I've never really tried to loot them, but they have been decent over the time that I have had a look. Now, this was a staple for my loot route. I actually used to have a base not so far away from here, a long time ago, in previous years. Like I say, you got your military bases, so there's the Northwest Airfield, which has multiple military bases, which is fantastic. Northwest Airfield. There you go. Where to loot? Northwest Airfield. Now, and then the static contaminated zones. Now, if we actually go and have a look here, this is the Northwest Airfield. So, from your spawn, you have to make it, so let's say you spawn Chernogorsk again, you have to make it all the way up the map, through Rugovo, through to Stary Soba, through to Cabanino, and then through here. Now, I'm not saying that's the most ideal route, because it probably isn't, but that's same from Berezino to Dubrovka. Realistically, Dubrovka or Berezino is a worse spawn, because you're going to be running through landmarks, and you have to be very careful for the landmark. So obviously you've got your Northwest Airfield. Now this one right here holds a special place in my heart. Tissi Air Base. Look how far you are up the map. You literally, if you spawn down here at Electro, you have to make it all the way up there to the map. Like, it's ridiculous. But look at the loot that you have in this place. 2 sets of military tents. There are 3 sets of military tents. It's not got as much loot as the Northwest Airfield, but in my personal experience, I've actually found more and better loot at Tissi. Now, you've got your likes of all of these other smaller dotted locations around the map. Commence, see, got another little airfield. Then, like I say, you've got your Balota. You have one just short of Pavlovo. Now, if we go and have a look at this website, static contaminated zones. If we have a look here, you see you need a full MBC suit to enter without dying. Now, I'm going to leave a picture so you can see what an MBC suit is. These, the ones in red, are your static contaminated zone. Now, there's one on the left-hand side, as we've just seen, but this one is actually that picture. So that ship there is a static contaminated zone, and this one is that static contaminated zone. If you walk into that zone, unless you have a full suit, you are dead. As a discussion, what I advise as a player, if you can find yourself whether you use a tablet, your phone, your mobile app, something to be able to keep an eye on iSurvive, because I can tell you my exact location right now from iSurvive. So I already know where I am. I am actually down here, right? So if I go ahead and zoom into my location, we've walked from the last video, which is about here, walked up. Rather than going that way, we split off. We've gone up here. We've then taken the left-hand side from here. We're then carried on up here. Now we're actually making our way up here, which we're then going to walk to Novi Soba. That's where I am on the map. I think we've done a good enough job in explaining kind of like, not necessarily loot routes, because people have their own individual loot routes which they prefer, but on where you kind of need to be wary of. If, like I say, if you can have iSurvive up while playing the game, you can easily navigate around the map using iSurvive, or even just this map in general, and being able to check on where you are and where you're going to be. Obviously, all of these places will reset. You're most likely to find more people around these heavily armored locations, but also your fresh spawn killers. You find a lot of them. So yeah, I think I'm quite happy with this. I think, like, I've shown you can see physically, like, I've shown you where I am. I'm making my way from here. I'm pretty much, I think, about here. If I walk up, I'll find another one, and then we will basically be done with making our way up the trail and actually able to go left. So you can see these houses over there, and that is actually where I want to be. And would you like to know how I know? That landmark right there. That is where I want to be. So, that being said, that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, all those good things down below. And I'll catch you in the very next video. As always, my friends. Sweet.